Welcome, friends, colleagues, to the quarterly briefing for the Go platform for Q3 2023. As ever, we're going to be taking you through some of the progress we've made on the platform, how that can help you, and talk about some of the plans we have for the following quarter. It's a little bit of a bigger occasion for us because it is, as you may have gathered, 5 years since the launch of the platform. And so, yeah, we'll have a little bit of fun looking back on some of the data that we've had processed through Go. So, I'm Luke Cayley. I'm the Information Management Lead here at the IFRC, and I'll be walking you through, with the benefit of lots of other colleagues who are working on different features, the agenda that you can see there. So we'll go ahead and start the briefing. So hopefully you know what Go is, but if you have wandered in to this meeting and not quite sure what we're talking about, well, Go is a platform which helps the IFRC, the 191 National Society members of the IFRC network, prepare, respond, and learn better together. And so how does it do that? Well, in terms of preparedness, we'll be hearing from the way that we're digitizing the whole National Society preparedness process. It provides information about seasonal risks. So what can you expect from which types of hazards in which months of the year? And it surfaces all of the data that we have around past crises. So what have we done in response to such emergencies, in such crises in the past, so that we can learn from that and plan, basically. Also, we help our national societies to respond as part of the principles and rules of the way that we work in the movement. We are requested to provide early warning alerts, and so we do that with a number of different sources coming to us from partners, as well as our own network, which provides field reports of early warning to all of our members. We're able to channel funding through the DREF. So the Go platform is the means for you to access that DREF funding, and we hope also to move the emergency appeal process onto Go in months to come. This is how you report activities, whether they're what we call the 3W, the who, what, where, or for both longer term programs or for emergencies, or other forms of dashboards that we find on emergency pages. Whether that's related to community engagement and accountability for activities around Ebola in DRC, or Federation-wide response to a Ukraine crisis from all the different parts of the movement which are responding to that particular situation of concern. As well as Surge. So all of the individuals that are being deployed across the network to support their sister national societies, you can see a data visualization from the Surge system on Go, and we help, or aim to help the network to learn. We'll hear more about how we're going to do that through the operational learning process, but also there are many resources that you can find on Go. And we hope to build an analysis hub which will help to surface a lot more useful data, so that we can just learn more about the kinds of crises that we're facing and are set to face more in the future. How does it work? Well, this schematic shows we have 3 sources of data. You have the IFRC systems, so that's funding data, the deployments, like I mentioned. IFRC network data is all of the contributions from the national societies themselves. These are field reports, the DREF of applications and operational updates and final reports, the 3Ws and so on. And then, as I mentioned, the external sources. So we're getting more and more information from trusted partners that we're surfacing on for people to understand what's about to happen. So the imminent events that need responding from the network. But then, yeah, you have the data which comes out through a platform, which we all know, but then we're also making available that raw data through an API, which is basically the plumbing that you can connect to your systems or to tools that you might use for analysis, as well as a bunch of tools. Which basically support different known workflows, disaster management workflows that our network continually use. So a little bit of we always look at our users on the platform. Now, sadly, this has been a very busy period for us all. It's actually, quite the red vest is wearing a lot heavier than even normally over the last couple of weeks, and really you can see a little bit of that in the Go analytics of the users. So that's 25,000 users registered on the platform. You can see the spike there, which happened as a result of both Libya and Morocco crises happening so close to each other. And yet 60,000 people navigated to the site on those days, and so yeah, it's not good news, but it means that Go is again seen as the way to find out what's happening across the Red Cross, Red Crescent IFRC network. Okay, a little bit lighter. So to talk about the data that we've processing on the platform over the last 5 years, we looked at the field reports, which is the one system really that we inherited from what came before Go, which is DMIS, if you recall. I can't even remember what the acronym stands for now, disaster something. But essentially, we have had field reports coming into the platform over these 5 years. So we thought it'd be fun to see who has won a race for the national societies who have been submitting platforms. And so hopefully this works. I'm going to click on this link, and it will take us to a race. So try to imagine who you think it's going to be. Well, the Chilean Red Cross has come out ahead, but then Ugandans are catching up. But it eventually, yeah, the Chilean Red Cross with 191 field reports, which were really kicked on by the COVID-19 pandemic, with a number of reports really increased because we really used Go as a way to get an understanding of what was happening across the world. And we'd encourage that that kind of use of Go for other emergencies. But yeah, we thought that this would just show the diversity of the different national societies. Pretty much every region has representation there, and there's many field reports sharing information across the network, coming from members of our network. Okay, back to the slides. We follow a kind of process of user-centered design, and we've been working with our friend and colleague Mariam Esteban, I hope I pronounced that correctly, from Yellow Umbrella, for the full 5 years of the platform's development. And so Mariam's going to talk us through what we've been doing in general, but then specifically how we've applied that to understanding how our users want to find the information on the platform. So over to you, Mariam.
Thank you, Luke. Hi, everyone. So as Luke mentioned, I'm Miriam from Yellow Umbrella, and we've been happily supporting, I can't imagine, it's already been 5 years, the Go platform with the user-centered design. So what user-centered design is supporting the platform from the perspective of users. So we are the advocates for the users, aiming to constantly reach out to you all to gather your feedback from various perspectives. And we do iterative design, which means we do a cycle of research, and then we do analysis, ideation on those design solutions. And then we try to do validation, so coming back to you with some proposals. And then this goes basically through iterative cycles. Go is a big platform. It has a lot of new features and modules, so the iteration is key. Last year, we conducted a study, so around May to August, mid-year, And there were 3 parts of the study. So we conducted user interviews, we had a survey, which had a pretty good response rate, and we did a card sorting exercise. And some of you, I'm sure, have been part of it, so thank you so much for your feedback. The card sorting exercise specifically was created because we were aiming to look into potential new navigation for Go. There were a few reasons for that, is that we knew that there were better, more scalable ways of organizing content. Go is growing, it has a lot of new features and content that's coming in. So we wanted to ensure that there's a structured, logical way to place all that information. As part of the card sorting exercise, we created a few key sections that or modules that Go ahead or potentially would include. We created groupings, that ideation that came from the team and from various stakeholder and user discussions. And then, of course, there was an option to create custom groupings as well. So the users, participants of this exercise, were placing the sections from Go into sort of the more intuitive groupings that they found. And we also asked some additional questions along with this, such as how do you feel about current Go navigation, and how would it impact your work if the navigation was changed? As a result of all of this exercise, plus the survey and the study, we collected all the feedback. We had brainstorming sessions with the team, and we came up with a new navigation. So this is the new coming soon navigation in Go, which heavily focuses on a few aspects. Firstly, on countries. So it's easier in this new structure to find and direct to navigate to country pages. But still the regional sections are very highlighted and also easy to access. The groupings of content are between respond, prepare, and learn, which is more disaster management, sort of a cycle approach. And the second interesting aspect that we're going to bring here is the drop-down navigation, which allows to resurface all different features and functionality that are available on Go, along with description and additional information, so that it's easier to know what's where and how to access it. So we are currently working on this concept. It's in development and it's coming soon. We don't end here, of course. This is the first step of updating the navigation. Our next steps are, our next step is to continue working on the enhanced navigation. We are actually already working on that in parallel, which means looking into additional sections that will be on Go, expand the navigation, including other features, but also building dashboard for logged in users. So logged in users will have their own space with custom information specific to them, information that they can validate, access, having a bit more resources in hand. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you, Miriam. Been with us long enough to know the disaster management cycle in like the back of your hand, right? So thanks a lot for that. So as Miriam mentioned, we are about to launch this new navigation. We wanted to give you one last chance to check out what Go looks like right now. Well, partly that's the reason, but we're aiming to launch the new navigation the first day of November. So it's coming soon. And why we've also gone a bit further, not just for the navigation, but we decided to rebuild the whole platform from scratch. We mentioned this last time, but basically we're almost there. And what we'll be replacing the current Go, could go on mute, please, will be a completely new site. It will look somewhat similar, but yeah, we've rebuilt it from scratch, so that you have consistency in what we call the user interface. So things like tables and buttons will all look the same all over the site. We'll be using only our own fonts and some other assets, which mean that the system is a bit more private and more secure. The performance, i.e., how quick it loads and how well it does in low bandwidth environments, will be massively improved. You could also use it sometimes on mobile. It'd be friendly enough for your handset, but not everything will be perfect for it, because Go uses a lot of embedded iframes from other applications like Power BI and so on, which don't really work on mobile phones. But it'll be a lot more friendly to your mobile. We'll be able to increase the speed of development because it's all written in a similar kind of way. With well documented patterns, we'll be able to develop new things more quickly. And yeah, we've upgraded. 5 years is a long time in coding world, and so we're able to make access of all of the best open source technologies. Just to repeat, yeah, Go is completely open source. So all the code which makes it run is available on GitHub. You can see it all there. The data itself obviously is not open source, and in order to find out all of the things that we have on Go, you have to log in, which is right of every member of the Red Cross Red Crescent movement. Okay, it was rebuilt by these lovely people. You can see in front of you the developers which come from IFRC, from other companies as well we work with, called Development Seed and Toggle Corp. And Data Friendly Space. Basically, they are the people who write the code which makes Go do what it does. You can see some statistics on the screen there of how many lines of code and so on. Probably not interesting to probably only interesting to them. The number of liters of coffee were tracked up until the point when the coffee machine died. So yeah, sadly we have had some casualties in the making of this platform, but yeah, we continue to enjoy working together and making these things work. Yeah, it's a kind of a thank you again to our developers, who are a wonderful bunch of people. All right, so enough from my side. I'm going to pass over to Stephanie Guadron from the Americas Regional Office, who will talk us through the preparedness improvements that we're making on the platform, and how that helps to digitize the whole end-to-end process. Over to you, Stephanie.
Thank you very much, Luke. Hi, everyone. So now, continuing with the presentation, we are very happy to announce that the NS Preparedness, or PR, in Go is ready now. It will be available in the Go platform by the end of the month, the 1st of November, as Luke mentioned, when the new site is released. So what do we have now? We will have then on November 1st, as we will see in the demo in a few minutes. We have now the full PR process, the full PR mechanism in Go, from orientation to the action and accountability, the orientation phase, assessment, prioritization, work plan, and the follow-up of the work plan. We will also have the new section in the PR page, the country page, for both public and private, depending on the credential, as we will see in a couple of minutes. And there we will have information, the detailed information or general information, depending of not only what we will be inputting from now on, but also existing information regarding the assessment phase from 2014 to date that is already inputted in the platforms. So now we will go to the next slide, so we can play a video for you with a short demo of this PR process. Thank you, Luke. We will see. Sorry.
Yeah. Good luck keeping up with the briefing. It's quick.
It's quite. But yeah, and it's quite fast. I will try to run on this. So we will see how we register our new PR process, and also the information on the view pages. So in the Go platform, the first step is to log in. As you can see, we have to have the correct credential to see the detailed information. And with the latest updates, we will have this prepare, respond, and learn menu. We will go to prepare, and then we start a new PR process. In the overview form, we can enter information about the orientation phase and also the assessment phase. In case we have orientation information, we can put it there, but most information is related here to the assessment, how we can put general information about the assessment before going into details. We can also include consideration. As you might know, we have EPI, climate and environmental and urban consideration that we can add for the analysis in the next forms. And also we can put here information on the contact, NS focal point, facilitator, team, etc. So now we have set up the PR cycle. We go to the next form, which is the assessment. As you might know, we have in the PR process 5 areas. We can move from area to area with the tabs. And the idea is just like with the Excel, if you are familiar with it, or the assessment report in Word, we will go through all the 37 components divided into 5 areas and put there the ratings that the National Society. This is a process. We see this very quickly right now, but it takes time. So we go through every component and put yes or no in the corresponding notes, and then the National Society will evaluate the rating of that specific component. We do that for every one of the component of the also the 5 phases. And yes, we see that very quickly. If we have added considerations, we will have a specific consideration per component that we also will be able to read and analyze and put the corresponding note and take that into account when we rate the component. So we can go to the next form, to the next area, sorry, and do and we will repeat the same thing. We will see that very quickly here, but it will take, of course, the necessary time. We have at the top of the page, I'm sorry, I skipped that, also a visual that will allow us to see how the progress, what's the progress we are doing. How many components have we rated, have we answered, have we rated. And also interesting thing to know, if you are familiar with that, you know it can take a lot of time, so you can save at any moment and you can go back later without any problems. So you will have also a place that we just saw there where you can see all your cycles, not only the current one, but also maybe the previous one, where you can go and navigate and click on any of the forms you are working on and go back and then continue editing or adding information as we can see right now in the video. So when we have finalized to complete all the information on the areas, the component, the benchmarks, we can click, well, that's the visual that I mentioned, that we can see that we have everything completed maybe. So we can click on submit, and then that will allow us to go to the next form, that is, or next phase, that is the prioritization. Important that there's some warning there that we cannot edit after we final submit. So in the prioritization, we will also have the visual if you want to take a look at what we have done during the assessment. We will be able also to see per component what we have answered during the assessment. The idea is that can help us make the decision on what component will be prioritized. And to prioritize, we just need to click in this checkbox there, and then if we want, we can add notes or a justification, but that's mainly what we need to do. Click on the component, and then we will click on select and add to work plan to go to the next phase or next form, which is the work plan. Here we have a very simple, let's say, proposal of a work plan. Maybe national societies will have a more detailed one, but at least this minimum field will allow us to keep track on actions per prioritized components, due dates, who is supporting, what's the status of the action. The due date will also allow us will allow the platform to send the National Society PR focal point a reminder that the date for this action is coming soon. We have to work on that. So we will have that tool there. And we can go back and edit it every time we need it, to maybe we have finished an action, and then we can update the status of the PR of the work plan. So now we have very fast, we can see the visual part, the private part of what we have just inputted, If you can see, it's very detailed. We can see all the components, the ratings, or even the comments. So that's the private part of it. And we are now logging out because we want to show you that if you are not logged in, then you can see some information, but very general information. Even there, you said you have that code that says you have limited access. So you can see the National Society PR focal point. You could see, sorry, it was quite fast. And also which were the prioritized components of that last cycle, but you cannot see much more than that. You can request to see more information. There's a button there. A general user could request, but that's entirely up to the National Society to decide. And as we mentioned, it's very important to have the National Society will define who can access the private information. So in a glance, to summarize, we have an input tool, and we have also views, a visualization part. To input, then we have, as we saw, the 5 forms for input information on the 5 phases of the PR process. We can see also, we have a tool where we can see all the previous cycles also, the current and the previous cycles. And also we can provide this follow-up to the work plan and register and update the progress of it. As for the view, then we will have private and public, depending on our access, on if we have the credential and the specific rights to see that information or even to input information. In the private part, very detailed information about component ratings, prioritized component, performance, also comparison between cycles if we have more than one cycle in a National Society. And in the public place and the public space, very general information on the National Society PR focal point contact, which is the last cycle, the year maybe, and also which are the prioritized component, but in a very general view. So this is important also to generate conversation, but also without disclosing private information. So what's coming next? Of course, the launching. This is part of it, a pre-launch, and at the beginning of next month, then we will have the tool already in production. So we will start launching per region to provide National Society this awareness that we have now this information there. Also a guidance for National Societies so that they can use the information, see what they can do, and take the most advantage of this. Of course, training of the PR facilitators. While there's an ongoing PR process, the idea is the facilitators know now how to use this tool, and can progressively replace the current Excel tool. So the facilitators will know how to input correctly the information in the platform and also generate this capacity in the National Society to use PR on Go. We have some PR processes still pending to input that we will do from our side, from the PRIM team, but also the new PR processes that are happening maybe these following weeks or months. The idea is to have the full registration of the process in the platform with the accompaniment, of course, of the PR team, the IM team, and the facilitators team. And more on the technical side, as we mentioned, we have all the assessment information from 2014 to date already inputted in the platform, but we are still importing the next phase, that is the prioritization, the prioritized components. So we are hoping that we will have this maybe before the launch, but it's something we have to, which is coming next. We are working on that. So National Society can view on their country pages, detailed private view, the assessment information, but also the prioritization related information of the previous PR cycles. And lastly, of course, connecting the at aggregate level, the information that we will have, and we do have already in Go related to PR, to other dashboard or other modules. So this is from my side. And if you have any questions or comment, I will be checking the chat. Thanks so much. And back to you, Luke.
Thanks a lot, Stephanie. Absolutely great work, great explanation, keeping up with that video, and yeah, just all of the work that has gone into making this happen. It's for yourself, but also the wider Preparedness for Effective Response team. It's great that we're finally getting there, and for national societies to have their own tool that they can own and manage this data is a big step forward. For partner national societies to be able to see the demand, to identify what the national societies themselves are saying are the things that they want support for. I mean, this provides a really useful data set, which we should use to better coordinate the support across the network. So congratulations again. Okay, on to Stephanie mentioned the operations learning, this is something we've talked about before, but there's quite a lot of advances which we've been planning, and so just to give you a taste of what's to come, Marco Vargas from the DREF, PER, and operations learning teams, I think he's in most teams, it seems, in the IFRC, is here to explain how this works. Over to you, Marco.
Thanks, Luke. From the draft mostly, of course. But maybe a bit, quite a 1 minute brief on what we're talking about here when we talk about operational learning, in case you haven't come across this. I should have done a poll in the chat and see who has ever visit this. I think that would have been a good idea. But anyways, maybe you guys can say who has visited this or not. But basically, what we have here is this mostly this dashboard that you can see is part of the preparedness section in the GO platform. And I think with the new modality now, that's moving into like the learning part. So we have prepared, response, and then learn. But basically what we have there is a collection of lessons and challenges from implementing operations. The national site is implementing operations right now only through DREF. So basically DREF funded operations, that's the information that we're capturing. We're looking into expanding a little bit the scope of the information that is available. But nevertheless, it's quite a lot of information. The objective here is to ease the access to these very valuable experiences the national societies are having, so that we can use that information later on. They can be used in processes such as like the PER, like a PER process, for example, where national societies are going through the approach and identifying some of their priority components, because we are aligned with the PER in the operational learning. They could, for example, identify some critical areas based on past experiences, or some of the most used cases is the new operations, right? Taking into account lessons and challenges from previous operations to when putting together operational strategies for new operations, making sure that we are mitigating some potential challenges there. So that's the operational learning. It's been quite a bit of work. As we said, we have done some progress in the sense that we have a platform. The learning is not only sitting in the PDFs anymore, but of course, there was more work to do. So that's what we're talking about here a little bit, the work that we have been doing in coordination with the IN team and the Preparedness team and the NSD team and the PMER team and the DREF team is really a joint effort to sort of further institutionalize operational learning. So let's walk through some of the steps that we're taking. And the first one, I think, very important step in close collaboration from Mariam, who we heard from before, and Paola from the IN team, who is also here, who has been leading this particular process right now, is the user journey. As I said, it's basically taking the time to understand those that are using operational learning, or maybe that they're not using, that they could be using operational learning. How do they see it? How do they see it actually benefiting their work? How do they see the current options, the current services or products that they have available with this dashboard that we showed you before? And what would they see it? How would they see it working better for them, right? So really taking the time to understand colleagues from national societies and also from different areas of the Secretariat, to see how is it going, and then how could we further operational learning in the work that they do. From there, we move, of course, into the design phase based on that very important feedback. As I said, if I have to summarize the feedback, is we've done a good work. We have the information, but it's not enough. We have the filtering, we have the possibility to read the individual learnings, but our colleagues, especially those on the ground, really working with national societies or for national societies, putting new operations together, they need more consolidated products. They need more sort of like digested products that they're having to go to a dashboard and filter and read learnings one by one. They need to have more context as well of where that information is coming from. So some of the feedback that we got, and based on that, we worked in the design solutions, a little bit on the research on how can we further add value to the operational learning by, for example, using large language models. I think that's what it's called. Paola can correct me if wrong. To sort of sensitize, summarize the information, and have more consolidated products, more targeted products for our users. So based on all of that, the research, the discussions that we have had, we even had a Go sprint on this past quarter, based on operational learning and the review that we did and the coordination that we had all there with in-house and externals. We have come up with some potential solutions of revisions for the products. So that's basically what the next steps are for. So maybe we can move to the next slide so you guys have some more time to look at and try to like squeeze your eyes and see what's there. But okay, so what are the next steps? Again, we are coming up with solutions. We have some ideas. We have to validate. We have to ensure, for example, the use of this AI and large language models. How would that actually behave? What are some of the potential risks that may have? But we already have wireframes that we would like to implement, that they've been revised based on the conversations and the feedback that we have gotten from colleagues. Basically, we're going to start with the dashboard, the operational learning dashboard, which is the one that is currently in Go, fully integrated that into the Go platform, and not just a window to a Power BI dashboard as it is currently. We're going to have some sort of iteration of use of AI to summarize. So once you filter, for example, if you filter by country and hazard, you will automatically already get a summary highlighting some of the main elements that the learning is saying in terms of the filtering you've done. So that should be easier and quicker for you to understand what are some of the main considerations to take into account, for example, when putting new operations together. More context, we're going to be able to provide more information regarding the sourcing of where this learning is coming from. Meaning that you could actually dig deeper into the reports, into the different documents. If you're interested in a specific pieces of learning about an operation that happened on the typhoon in the Philippines in 2019, that you can actually look at the specific information. And again, the validation process that we're also working on. How can we make sure that we're actually validating the products that are being produced? Empowering national societies a little bit more. If there is a learning from their national society that they feel is no longer relevant or that should have make it there in the first place, although we're using public information mostly, giving them more opportunities to either validate or remove learnings if they consider that they shouldn't be there in the first place. But again, it's all to ensure that this information is being actually retrofitted to our systems, and they were actually learning the lessons, not only capturing. And I think these steps are going to help us to even further that work. Maybe just to finalize, to say again, Paola from the IN team, she's been leading this revision and this kind of like enhancement of the operational learning. But now we have with us Cristina Estrada, who is also taking a little bit of that leading role. So maybe Cristina, I'll give you the room so you can introduce yourself.
Couple of seconds. Thank you, Marco, and thank you for a great presentation. My name is Cristina Estrada. I know some of you, and I'm now working with the quality initiative, quality assurance initiative team, and working very closely with you guys from the M team. I've been working with learnings more on the side of real-time evaluations for a long time. I've led a couple of after-action reviews, and basically operational learning I find it fascinating, and how to make sure that we use the learning to feed into present and future operations, and ensure that there's a continuous feedback mechanism that to make our operations more effective and efficient. So happy to be in the team. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Cristina and Marco and Paola and the whole team. Yeah, thanks a lot. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit more information in the blog that we recently put out, so we can, I'm sure, share that in the chat. We can have a what do we mean by first loop learning and so on, because I think that's what we're aiming for here, not so much breaking out of the box, but learning from what's in the black box of learnings from every operation. All right, so great. Thanks a lot. And so moving on to another feature that's forthcoming. David Mukatitsa works on the kind of geodata and mapping for Go. So we'll talk us through what the local units, which essentially mean the kind of the physical infrastructure, branch offices, service points, and so on, that national societies use to deliver services. So over to you, David.
Okay, thank you. Look, as many of you know, in the past years, there's been a growing need for local units data across the movement. So to address this, we initiated the local units mapping project, which we're currently working on with an objective to create a platform for national societies to manage their own local units data through the GO platform. And now you might be wondering what we mean by local units. And in very simple terms, these are just physical subdivisions of a national society that coordinate and deliver services to the people. This might encompass maybe branch offices, service points, and other essential national society infrastructure. So I'll take you back to the project's beginning. In December 2021, we organized a 3-day geospatial sprint where we invited colleagues from several national societies, the IFRC, and also some of the developers of our system. And during that sprint, we discussed a lot of issues, but we primarily revolved around 2 key aspects. The first aspect being the data side, and the second being the database management system. So regarding the data aspect, we narrowed our focus down to 3 critical issues. First being the data dictionary, where we adopted minimum viable data standards, emphasizing on location and contact information only. Then we examined now the existing local units dataset within the movement, and notably we identified 6,300 local unit points that were web scraped through the SIMS network from 2017 to 2021. And additionally, we also identified 2,500 units that were crowdsourced through the IFRC. But however, when we identified this dataset, it became apparent that this dataset lacked 2 crucial elements. One being validation from the national society, as well as approval for public use from national societies. So to address this, we then selected 16 national societies to collaborate with on validating their data and guaranteeing approval for public use. And I would want to tell you that the process has been running smoothly with valuable feedback received from 11 national societies already, and 5 already validated the dataset and even added more local unit points than we had. And now moving on to the database management side, we then agreed to leverage on the Go infrastructure for storing the data and also providing a user-friendly interface to allow the national societies to manage the dataset. And currently, we've developed wireframes to integrate within the Go country pages, offering both the read and the write functionality. Okay, now moving on to the next slide. So now looking ahead to Q4 of the to Q4, we plan to continue collaborating with the remaining 11 out of the 16 national societies to validate the dataset. And after that, we aim to integrate this data into the Go country pages, allowing the 16 national society to test the system and also provide feedback. And once we conclude this phase, we will then establish a clear process to enroll other national societies based on the comprehensive feedback from these earlier stages. But however, it's also key to note that this will not be an end of the local units mapping project, but also we recognize the potential of this dataset for either disaster management and also for day-to-day operations of the national societies. So in 2024, we also plan to document and formulate training on geospatial use cases. Then maybe through several projects within the GO platform, we'll also explore ways to incorporate more optional attributes. And then maybe later on during the year, we'll then work on the work on creating branch areas. So basically, this is just a summary of this project that we're currently working on local unit mapping. Back to you, Luke.
Perfect. Thank you, David. David came to us from the Zimbabwe Red Cross, and yeah, has really picked this project up and got it to where it almost is on the platform. We're hoping to get it by the end of the year. And honestly, there's so many different applications that we could see coming once we have a good database management and also potentially analytics around the geospatial data that we're collecting through Go. So yeah, thanks a lot for sharing all of that, and great work so far. All right, so Daniel Tavari, who is our Go project manager and Scrum Master. Maybe you can ask him in bilateral what that means. But basically, he's the person who oversees what we're currently working on with our developers and designers, and what's happening next. So over to Daniel to talk us through that. Over to you, Daniel.
Thanks, Luke. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. So a quick teaser about what is coming at the end of this year on Go and what is coming next year. After the release of the new site with the new navigation, we will focus on creating the new country pages. So in the last, I believe in the last briefing, Luke was already talking about that, and hopefully it will be released by the end of the year. It will also include the geospatial part of the local unit mapping and an option to manage this data set. Besides that, another focus area will be to work on the simplified reporting initiative, which means the 3W activity reporting, what is available now on Go, and the combination of indicator tracking tool. So hopefully it will be an easier way to do the activity reporting. Risk module and draft development will continue throughout the year. There will be new imminent event types and sources for the risk module, and for draft. For example, the translation functionality will be enhanced, so you will be able to initiate a draft application not only in English. Next year, as Marco mentioned and demonstrated, the operational learning tool will come to Go already in the first quarter of the year. Hopefully, a longer preparation will need the emergency appeal process digitalization. So we expect that that will happen only in the second half of the year. We plan an analysis and reporting hub. At the moment, the users can export data from the user interface, or they can use the API to download data. But we hope that we can make an easier tool that allows to make custom queries in an easy way. RiskWatch and the Global Crisis Data Bank development will continue. And regarding draft, there will be hopefully a new analytics page, and the early action protocol process will be digitized as well. A survey design tool will be hopefully available, which with a question bank, which will allow the users to create surveys. Back to you, Luke. Thanks.
In short, we're going to be busy as ever. And actually, at lunch, we discovered another, something that's on our work plan, community insights, that might well be coming back on 2024. The face of Daniel is implacable as ever, as he realizes another feature that's coming. All right, great. Thanks a lot for that, Daniel. I don't know whether we've got any questions. We've got 10 minutes left, so I'm going to finally just say that we always make an editing of the recording of this briefing, and we write about it and share the slides on the Go blog. But we also talk about all the other features, especially when we have sprints. So we've got a lot of information that we've pulled together that we want to share. So please do look at that if you want to know more. But I'm going to come off sharing screen so that I can see if there are any questions or anybody who wants to take the floor and ask anything. Okay, I did see a question from Mete about global programs. This is one that requires a bit more discussion, Mete. In fact, we have a discussion about that tomorrow, as you know. So before we're clear that it's going on the platform, we need a bit more understanding of how that could work, and the other opportunities for collecting that data. And I think good. It's been great spending time with you, and I really appreciate everybody's patience with us. And thanks a lot, everyone, and see you next time. And thanks a lot to all the presenters and everyone behind the development of the platform. Right, bye.